And we are back to bring you another episode of One-on-One Sports.
Up next for you, we've got the NBA all-time dream team.
The top destinations for NFL free agents.
Good old NASCAR.
All that and so much more.
And it all starts right now. Hello and welcome back to this brand new episode of One-on-One Sports. I'm Thomas Hale.
And I'm Mason Stelf. Baseball is officially back, so Thomas and I are going to step up to the plate for the quick hitters. Last Thursday's trade deadline saw the Cleveland Cavaliers turn over a large portion of their roster. Overall, the Cavs swapped Isaiah Thomas, Jay Crowder, Channing Frye, Derrick Rose, Iman Shumpert, and Dwayne Wade for Rodney Hood, George Hill, Larry Nance Jr., Jordan Clarkson, and 2 open roster spots to sign players who will be bought out. General Manager Kobe Altman states that the trades were made because we were on a slow death march and I didn't want to be a part of that. So Thomas, did the Cavs increase their chances of making the finals, A, and B, did they increase their chances of retaining LeBron James next year?
Some real good moves by the Cavs, honestly. Really like the moves that they put in. And I'm going to say that it keeps the chances of making the finals about the same. The reason why is because you got a strong Boston team and a strong Toronto team for the first time in the Eastern Conference.
But Toronto could still choke.
Exactly.
Toronto could still choke.
Toronto's always a
Boston
flip of the coin.
I think they increased their chances of making the finals just because the poison in that locker room was so great that you could only see them continuing to fall down.
Derrick Rose didn't want to play. Isaiah Thomas obviously had issues. And while Dwayne Wade was nice to have in the locker room for LeBron, I'm sure he wasn't doing much on the court.
The level of talent didn't change, but the attitude around the team changed.
Yeah.
But as far as retaining LeBron James, I would say absolutely, unless they made a deal with the Lakers, which they did. Because then you open up 2 spots for the Lakers to sign players to max
The funny
deals.
part is, though, is that he would have wanted to move to the Lakers because of that young talent on the team, but the Lakers just gave half of that young talent to Cleveland.
The Cavs just went one of 2 directions next year. They either literally opened up the spot to give LeBron or James away, or they did the right thing to keep LeBron James there. There's no in between here.
Yeah, and the problem with the finals is that Toronto's the top scoring team in the Eastern Conference. Boston's got the best defense in the Eastern Conference. Cleveland needed defense. Don't really think they upgraded on defense too much.
No.
Also, they lost Iman Shumpert, who was one of their premier defenders.
Kevin Love has to come back and be very, very elite because Isaiah Thomas can score. We know that. He was having some difficulties, but if we know one thing, it's that in big games, in big situations late in the year, Isaiah Thomas is going to come through. Kevin Love needs to do the exact same thing because while they added pieces, LeBron James is still the only superstar.
And I'm sure Kevin Love
team.
was excited with this opportunity because we saw throughout the season he's been upset with his role on the team, maybe the amount of time he gets to play. Now is an opportunity for him to come back, show what he's worth to Cleveland, and hopefully make a run into the finals again.
We'll see, certainly, but Cleveland made the moves they had to do. Will it pay off in the end? We don't know that yet.
Yeah, it could be one or the other, huh?
Exactly.
It's going to be interesting to watch. It'll be fun. Warriors head coach Steve Kerr has justified the team's recent losses to Denver and Oklahoma City, as well as their 30-point loss to Utah, by saying the team is mentally tired. Even though the Warriors are healthy and 42-13 on the season, Mason, is there any cause for concern for the Warriors?
There's no cause for concern as far as this team going to the NBA Finals and winning it again.
None at
all. What I will say, though, is that this is a sad, it's not even an excuse at all, but it's incredibly sad to hear Steve Kerr say we're mentally tired, that's a justification for why we're losing.
Right.
You only play 82 games a year, add playoffs into that, so you're only playing really not even a third of the calendar year. And honestly, if you're getting tired, what's the justification for any other team getting tired? You're still way better than them.
And another issue that I have with this statement personally is you're the best team in the league, like you just said, and you've got some of the top NBA talent, top basketball minds on your team. These guys can easily handle any of the pressure, any of the wear and tear that comes throughout a season.
And when you have those types of players, those are the types of players that you don't say, these guys don't get mentally tired. Or if they do, they push through it. They can get through it. Steph Curry,
and that's what can motivate a team to do even better in the second half of the season.
Certainly, and that's when you want to beat teams, when they're at their most vulnerable. And with everyone kind of trudging into this All-Star break, this is when Golden State can really just step up, put their foot on the gas.
And after those couple losses, they did turn it around. They're currently on a 3-game win streak, won each game by at least 20 points, which is Great turnaround so far. Even let the players coach last game.
I just don't like that it's Steve Kerr, one of the best coaches out there, saying something like this. It sends the wrong message to me because, first of all, as I said, these guys only have to play maybe 100 times a year. I wish that I could use mental tiredness as a justification for all the things that I have to do on a daily basis.
Absolutely. Sports are one of the only times that you can really make that excuse, huh?
I just don't like it. I just think it's a little bit of a weak move.
They're the Warriors. They'll be just fine.
And they'll be fine in the end. That's the worst part about it for me. Last Thursday, the New York Rangers released a statement from team president Glenn Sather and general manager Jeff Gordon, finally signaling the team's intention to rebuild. The statement emphasized the team's plan to build a foundation to win the Stanley Cup, thanked the fans for their continuous support, and pledged to keep the fans involved in the team-building process. So, Thomas, what are your thoughts on an organization basically telling their fan base we're going to be rebuilding from here on out?
I think it's interesting to kind of hear an organization say, hey, sorry we're losing so much, but we'll do better next time kind of thing. But I like the clarity of the organization to the fans because I'm sure fans have been upset with the performance.
And
they want to know what's going on.
This is for the fans. The fans have been upset. They want some kind of justification for the poor play. This is something that the Rangers organization is coming out and saying we're going to go through this rebuild process, but now they have to come through here.
Yeah.
They can't just use this as a justification for losing. They have to go out. They have to make changes.
They've got a lot of pieces that they can sell. Older guys, really experienced guys that they can sell high, cash in on some picks, rebuild that team later.
And they have to. And it can't take a long time either. This can't be a 5-10 year rebuild. This needs to be something that happens quickly or the fans will continue to get upset.
Good luck to the Rangers, huh?
Good luck.
All-Pro NFL quarterback Russell Wilson had his MLB rights traded from the Texas Rangers to the New York Yankees last week. Wilson had been in the Rangers organization for multiple years and was involved in the team's spring training programs by talking to young players and taking part in team workouts. Wilson stated he had long desired to be a member of the Yankees organization. So, Mason, what benefits can Russell Wilson bring?
Nothing, really. And honestly, absolutely nothing here. It's a feel-good story.
Yeah.
But the Yankees made so many big moves this offseason, obviously capped off by the Giancarlo Stanton move, that Russell Wilson is not factoring into the team's plans.
Right.
Not going to play any role even in spring training. He has to get ready for the NFL season. This is a potential Super Bowl or NFL MVP last year for most of the year.
The one thing that the Yankees are bringing is a champion that can maybe come in and talk to this young group of Yankees and give them a little motivation in the offseason.
It puts a smile on your face, but Tim Tebow has a better chance of making the Mets opening day roster than Russell Wilson ever does of playing for the Yankees.
It's a nice media story. Fun to watch.
Yeah.
Well, that's all the time from the quick hitters. Don't go anywhere. We got some NBA All-Star discussion coming up next. In an interview with ESPN last week, Lakers legend Kobe Bryant stated that he would pick LeBron James over his ex-teammate Shaquille O'Neal in the current All-Star Game format. I'm here with our NBA experts, Ennis Warlick and Matt Holzaffel, to discuss this question. So, guys, who is your dream team going to be? We're going to do this by position, starting with point guard. Matt, who's your point guard?
I picked someone who could really play every position, but primarily point guard, Magic Johnson. He's out there with the ball and a string attached to his hand, left and right, behind the back passes. Really a dominant player for the Lakers that really made their franchise what it is today. Excellent point guard, definitely top 2 in NBA history.
It's hard to argue with that, but I'm going to have to go with another bigger guard, and I'm going to go with big Oscar Robertson, who played for the Milwaukee Bucks. Just kind of did it all. He was Mr. Triple-Double. Got his teammates involved, rebounded, a great defender. Got to go with the big O.
All right, so Matt, who you got for shooting guard?
I took another Laker. I promise this isn't a Lakers all-star team. I took Kobe Bryant. You know, he really dominated basketball. He reshaped basketball with his turnaround shots, and he trademarked so many different moves. He really was just an icon in his day and still is today, and he just retired.
You're going to tell me that you're going to pick Kobe Bryant over, not, in my opinion, not arguably, but arguably the best player in NBA history, Michael Jordan.
Is that your pick?
It's got to be Michael Jordan.
All right.
Great defender, great scorer. I mean, he's the GOAT. It's the
period.
GOAT.
That's it. All right, small
it's a hard argument, but the reason I chose Kobe because I want to see him play with my small forward pick, LeBron James. This is a dream team, right? A dream would be to see Kobe play with LeBron. LeBron just dominating, as long as anyone has in NBA history. To see him play with Kobe would be amazing. I wish we could, but unfortunately, not going to happen. But dream team it would.
Well, if you're going to go with LeBron, then I'm going to have to go with his arch nemesis, Kevin Durant. And I've got to add some athleticism to my team. And Kevin Durant just adds that element. He's long.
I just
He
really
can
feel like
shoot.
he hasn't been in the league long enough to be put up there with the all-time greats on Mount Rushmore.
Well, I'm not saying he's the best small forward of all time, or if he's even in the conversation of top 2. But I think adds that element of athleticism to my team, and that's just what I like.
All right, that's a good pick to me. Moving forward, power forward, how we doing?
I went the big fundamental, Tim Duncan, just the way he dominated, and he had his own style, and he really made it his own, made the Spurs style his own with, this fundamentals, slow down. He was back to the basket, a really true power forward, and he dominated in his time, and he brought a lot of rings to the Spurs. Definitely a great power forward.
Okay, Ennis?
I'm going with Karl Malone. He's huge. He's just a huge presence, and in the post, he's arguably the best offensive power forward in the game all time. So I'm going Karl
The
Malone.
postman, not a bad choice at all.
Absolutely.
All right, we're going to wrap things up with the center. Who you got, Matt?
I had a tough choice between Kareem Abdul-Jabbar or Wilt Chamberlain. I went Jabbar because he had the sky hook, the most unstoppable shot in NBA history. On top of that, being a 7-footer who could rebound, score, just really run the floor well, and play down low like no one can today, honestly.
I don't know about that. And the reason why I'm going to say that is you failed to mention in both of those choices the big Aristotle, Shaquille O'Neal. It's got to be Shaquille O'Neal, the most dominant player of all time, in my opinion.
Let me tell you what, this sounds like quite an exciting matchup
I
that
never
I
see him
would
play.
definitely want to see. A lot of interesting matchups to check out with these two guys, but that's all the time we got with the NBA. Up next, Mason's going to be sitting down for a breakdown of the NFL free agency.
RBIs and 36 homers. Swings at the first pitch and fouls it deep back into the stands.
Chill raw and prepared foods promptly. 1 in 6 Americans will get sick from food poisoning this year. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Okay. She's gonna love me all over again. Now,
Jamaica, here you come.
here we go.
Good job.
I don't know what's happening. Start a new chat. What did I do? Okay. Wow. That is so weird.
Hey! Hi!
Oh my gosh. Hi. God, I don't even know what to say right now. I'm so nervous. Gia, you're so big. Come closer to the camera. Wait, now you're in my face. That was so good.
When you throw away money on wasted electricity, you're throwing away everything you could have bought with it. Saving energy saves you money.
It's no fairy tale that the right fit means everything, especially when it comes to car seats. Always choose one that's the right fit for your child's age and size.
That does make a difference.
To find out more, visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat.
All right, I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay, so who's gonna do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
There are many needy teams in the NFL, each offering a range of commodities to the newest NFL free agents. Our NFL experts, Dom Vernaza and Jimmy Longo, are here to offer their best travel advice as to where the best destinations for these players to go are. So Dom, we'll start with you, and we'll start with Kirk Cousins with Alex Smith in Washington now. Really no place for Kirk Cousins, who's been franchise tagged time and time again. Where should he go?
Look, I'm going to send him to the team that has a little bit of experience tapping into the free agent market, and that's the Denver Broncos. They've been here before with Peyton Manning, and it shows that when they get that star QB, just how good their team can be. These past few years, they've gotten worse and worse as their quarterback play has declined, but that defense is still elite. There's still some offensive weapons there.
Don't you think that the Broncos, they have 3 pretty good quarterbacks? They have Osweiler, Simeon, and they also have Paxton Lynch. No, listen, hear me out on this.
Okay.
None of them have really been very, very successful other than Osweiler.
Not at all.
But you have Paxton Lynch. You drafted him a couple of years back from Memphis.
And he couldn't beat out an undrafted free
but
agent.
But he needs growth. He needs someone to lean on a little bit. So I think what they should do is make a coaching decision and hire a retired quarterback as their quarterback's coach and work with him to improve his skills rather than going out and drafting Cousins or getting Cousins.
Well, it hasn't worked in the past, but maybe it would in the future. Who do you think Cousins should go to?
I think he should go to the New York Jets.
Always a good move for players. They're a stable organization.
Hey, but hear me out on this. The Jets, Josh McCown, he broke his hand last season. We don't know what that's going to be like coming into the season. You also have Bryce Petty, who really hasn't shown anything in Hackenberg as well.
How about Malcolm Butler, a guy that made the key play to win the Pats a Super Bowl and then didn't play a defensive snap in this year's Super Bowl? Where should Malcolm go, Jimmy?
You know, I think he really needs to go to the Washington Redskins, especially after them sending away Kendall Fuller to the Chiefs for Alex Smith. I think that would be a great pair, and you would have 2 lockdown corners. You would also have Josh Norman on the other side.
Well, look, my problem with that is the same thing with sending Kirk Cousins to the Jets. If you're if you're Butler, why do you want to go to an incompetent organization like the Redskins? I think instead, if I'm him, I'm looking to go to a strong organization like the Seattle Seahawks. The Legion of Boom's getting up there in age. Sherman's had a big injury.
I think you would want to go to a younger team where you can really build on that. And I think the Washington Redskins have done a great job drafting players.
The Seahawks are going to be contenders long
make that
Russell
defense
Wilson's
very
there.
good in the near future.
I'd rather go to the Seahawks than the Redskins.
Last player, Jarvis Landry, had 9 touchdowns on the season in Miami. Where do you think he should go?
I think he'd fit nicely with the Baltimore Ravens. Joe Flacco has not been a very good QB these past few seasons, but he's lacked weapons. He has shown that, when he's at his best, he can win a Super Bowl. I think Jarvis Landry.
You have Mike Wallace.
Nicely.
Mike Wallace is pretty good at
But see, they'd be a
wide
perfect
receiver.
combo because Wallace is your deep threat while Jarvis Landry's work in the middle.
But I think Jarvis Landry, again, should go to the Jets, and I think Kirk Cousins should be throwing to him.
You're very high on the Jets, aren't you?
They need a lot of stuff on offense, especially a quarterback and a wide receiver. And the Jets' wide receivers haven't been the greatest off the field recently, so I think they need to go get a guy like Jarvis Landry.
Lots of locations other than New York, but we'll see where they go. We'll see where they go. That's all the time we have for this block, but coming after the break, Thomas will be back.
The 2018 NASCAR season kicks off Sunday with the Daytona 500. I'm joined at the desk with our 2 racing experts, David Flint and Emmanuel Tobe, to give you the insider knowledge on this upcoming season. So guys, big race coming up, huh?
Certainly is.
Maybe the biggest. We got some newcomers coming into the race. So Manny, what's a newcomer that you think could make a splash?
So I'm going to have to go with the 20-year-old from Charlotte, North Carolina, William Byron. To me, he's just so talented, and he's shown that he's really quick to adapt. Look at what he's done the past 2 years in the NASCAR Camping World Series truck series, as well as in the NASCAR X Infinity series. I mean, he was the driver championship, as well as 22 top 10 finishes out of 33 races. That's 66% of his races he's finished in the top 10. He's so talented. He's so good. He's on a really good team with the Hendrick Motorsports team, and he's just such a good racer.
Very good pick, but I've got to go with Darrell Wallace Jr. You've got the first full-time African-American Cup driver in over a generation now. He's driving the 43 car for Richard Petty. He's in the most historic car, arguably, in NASCAR history. He's very marketable, not just because of the fact that he's a minority, but has a great podcast with his fellow driver and fellow rookie rookie in the Penske car for Ryan Blaney. And he's just an all-around great driver that I think is really going to show up well in that 43 car, being a single-car team this year at RPM.
I mean, I was going to say, he's a great driver and all, but when you just see Byron race, you just see this kind of fire in his eyes. Like, you see that he
but
really
William
wants
Byron is in the same scenario that Joey Logano found himself in. Joey was 18, replacing Tony Stewart in the 20. William Byron is 20 years old, taking over Jeff Gordon's old car a couple years removed now in the 24. It didn't work for Logano. He got a career reboot at
But
Penske.
what about
So,
Chase
David.
Elliott? Chase Elliott drove the 24 last year.
Well, let me
He did
ask you
pretty
real
good.
quick. If Byron's not winning, then who's your winner going to be?
For the 500,
Yep.
I'm going to go with Chase Elliott in now that 9 car. His dad made that number famous. Won a title in it. Chase won what was then the Nationwide, now Xfinity title in it in 2014. That name and number are iconic with one another. The 9 car Bill Elliott with Harry Melling, with Ray Evernham, and now Rick Hendrick and Chase Elliott in that 9 car together. They're going to be unstoppable, especially at the plate track.
I
He's my
agree
pick for
that the
500.
legacy of the number is really important. But for me, I got to say someone who, speaking of legacy, has a big one, Brad Keselowski. I mean, if you look at what he's done in the Daytona 500, he's never won it, but he has 6 restrictor plate wins, which is the most among all active drivers, and as well as he's overdue a Daytona 500 victory. I mean, if you just see how he's raced last year, you can tell that he kind of struggled at places, but to me, this is his race right now. Like, he wants it.
It's
I think
going to
he's
be a
take
great
it.
race for him, but you got to keep in mind, Daytona, honestly, is the luck of the draw. If you're in the middle of the pack, in the middle of the race at Daytona, and somebody in front of you messes up, he could take 20 guys with him. You need to be at the front at the beginning and be at the front at the end, and the best way to do that is be in those fast 100 cars, I think.
It's going to be an interesting race.
It will be.
A lot of exciting stuff to come this weekend. NASCAR is not the only sport that's starting up. Mason will be joined at the desk to discuss the upcoming baseball season right after this.
Here's your check. Oh, you got it. You know, since I got rid of my car, I really enjoy walking.
Okay. God, no.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates.
Oh, you're home early. You live with your mom?
That'll set your game back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving. If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
You sure you don't want some? It's chamomile. Listen, you are extremely terrifying. Just the scariest undead subhuman thing on TV, and I really mean that. But I am worried that you could give my kids nightmares if they see you, so I'm gonna have to block you. So that's it. Oh, and tell the zombies they're blocked too.
When you throw away money on wasted electricity, you're throwing away everything you could have bought with it. Saving energy saves you money.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your closet. Still no jobs, just more stuff? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed. And they're the stuff inside your stuff. Our job is to unlock those jobs. And it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs.
Unbelievable. The MLB offseason is in the home stretch, with spring training just around the corner, and there are more free agents than expected still looking for work. More than 90 of the 166 players who declared free agency in late 2017 are still unsigned. So I'm here with MLB experts Brad Clear and Evan Piercy to kind of break all this down. So guys, first, we're just going to have a long conversation, but I want to start off with the Players Association having their own separate spring training for these unsigned players. Evan, what do you think this is all about? What does this mean?
First off, I actually like this for a players association actually looking out for the players and being able to organize this in order to showcase the talent in order to get them signed is huge. You look at other player associations, they might not be able to do this or do as much for their players. So I think it's a big idea. Whether it's going to work or not is the big question, because we've seen a lot of teams not really negotiating with some of the players, and most notably mega agent Scott Boras.
Yep. And going off of that, it's a nice gesture. It looks at the players from the MLBPA's perspective and says, all right, we're involved, we care about them. But for me, I think it's more of just a media show to sort of get, all right, these are players who are unsigned. I'm Tony Clark. I'm the executive director of MLBPA. I can be here front and center and make a lot of statements about it.
Now, obviously, this is big news, but why is this happening in the first place? Why are these big name players not getting signed?
I think so. There's a team. The Atlanta Braves do not negotiate with Scott Boras. They offer one price to a free agent, and if Scott Boras says no, then that's the end of it. So I think it's just him trying to drive up the price on these players. I know specifically Jake Arrieta is looking for a $200 million contract, which is absolutely absurd for someone who's at the tail end of his career.
I don't think it's like, obviously Scott Boras is the prominent super agent right now, but I think it's as a whole, what's happening here, and it's happened for the last few months, teams or agents set the price for their players so high that teams go for cheaper alternatives as opposed to waiting out for the extreme prices that are set forth. For example, Eric Hosmer, right? Eric Hosmer wanted 8 years, $200 million. He was never getting that.
No,
he was offered $7
the last people that have gotten 8-year contracts: Alex Rodriguez, Albert Pujols, Robinson Cano, Manny Ramirez, Mark Teixeira. The only one who's somewhat panned out is Robinson Cano, and his numbers are even down from when he was in New York.
Exactly, and he's at the half point of that contract. You can see by year 7, year 8, and moving forward.
And for a 31-year-old like Hosmer, 8 years, 30, he's not going to be.
But one player that I'm really I'm really curious about as a baseball fan, why is Jake Arrieta not signed to some team? This is one of the best pitchers in baseball.
He's not worth it. He's not.
You don't
think
he's worth
it? No, at this point he's not. You would be paying for what he did in the past as opposed to paying for what he's going to do in the future. He's 31, going on 32. His best years are probably behind him.
His best years are behind him.
Yeah, I agree.
His Cy Young year, prior to the Cy Young campaign he had, his ERA was mid-3s, couple 4s. Not great numbers, not Cy Young numbers. Then he had the one good year, won the Cy Young, got a nice bonus. Now he's asking the price of a Cy Young pitcher, which he's not.
Especially at that age. At that age,
he's declining.
Like, let's put it this way. You're not comfortable giving him 6, 7, 8 years. You got to cap it at 3 or 4. He wants 6, 7, or 8.
Yeah.
There's just not an understanding.
I'm just
there.
glad that baseball is back.
Yeah,
can we at least agree that thank goodness baseball is back?
I agree.
But that's all the time we have from the Diamond. Up next, Thomas will join me at the desk to discuss college basketball rankings and whether or not they're necessary.
College basketball season is pure chaos with every week bringing a new huge upset. Within this past week, we saw number 1 Villanova and UVA both get knocked off, as well as number 4 Duke. With all the upsets that happened throughout the season, I want to ask you, Mason, do rankings really matter?
Absolutely, they matter. Maybe in the grand scheme of things, with all the things going on, would basketball cease to function if rankings didn't exist? No.
We're going to play basketball.
But exactly, we're going to play basketball. But at the same time, if there weren't rankings, if the AP and the coaches didn't put out rankings week in, week out, somehow or other the fans are going to go out there and put up rankings. And because people have to know where they are.
Psychologically, people, as they watch basketball, are going to understand this team's better than that one. Put them over there. That's already a ranking right there.
And for teams like Duke and Kentucky and Kansas, okay, maybe they'd be able to function without rankings because they know they're among the best.
Yeah.
But for sometimes mid-major teams or teams that don't get a lot of exposure, cracking into that top 25 is a huge milestone.
And as far as the selection committee goes for March Madness at the end of the season, they're always going to think of that ranking when they account for what team they're picking.
Absolutely. Who got overvalued, who got undervalued.
That number 5 always looks a lot better than number 25.
Absolutely. And again, while they're probably not absolutely imperative to have, if the AP and the coaches didn't put out there, we would do it ourselves because we need to know where teams are, and teams need to know where they are.
Every fan loves
hierarchy.
to have structure throughout the season because a casual fan can't just turn on a game and understand who's doing better throughout the whole year. We need a little bit of structure every week to understand the ups and downs.
And just because this has been a wide open season does not mean rankings aren't important.
March Madness, getting real excited. Well, that's all the time we have for this episode of One-on-One Sports.
Special thanks to all of our producers, crew, talent, and to you, the viewer, for tuning in.
If you missed anything or want to check some more of us out, go on to Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, all at One-on-One Sports. From all of us here, thank you, and until next time.
Whose side are you on?